Well, fundamentally, it could appeal to anyone interested in wanting to not only embody the understanding of the three principles, but also to articulately and clearly share that with other people, whether that's as a coach or a teacher, or just like as a parent or as a good friend.
So it's really for people then that have come across the principles before, I'm assuming. Is that right?
Well, the ironic thing is that the biggest results we have are with people who've never come across the principles before. I know it sounds crazy, but they haven't got any thinking about what it is. So the way in which you share it is really clear. It's three principles as a paradigm, which I won't go into now, but it's a very clear way of pointing to how we create our experience as human beings. And again, I've worked in enormous amounts of populations with this, with very short spaces of time with people, and I've seen huge impact very quickly by sharing the clarity around how this works. So what started us off, myself and my ex-partner Jenny, we went all over the world, trained with lots of different people. We sat in on trainings at government departments and into communities where they did trainings. And we took from what we saw was the best of all these different things and tried to kind of funnel it into a facilitator training program. So just to shall I break it down for people? Would that be helpful?
Yeah, it would be great then. So if people are kind of curious about coming along, what might it look like then? Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's quite cool actually. We've got so the training goes over 1 year. There's 3 5-day retreats. And what that means is that people come to these beautiful contemporary country cabins. We all hang out for 5 days. There's a pool and jacuzzi and health treatments. It's in nature. And so there's a real community feel. We have shared meals. We just kind of go for walks. We have presentation times. Because although there's formal presentations every day, it's the hanging out, it's your other peers, it's going for walks, it's relaxing. That really does it for people. So people aren't sort of worried about getting there in time and traffic and traveling. They're just there. And as the mind starts to just relax, you start hearing more. So that's the training. Also, every month there's a mentoring call with myself or a different innate wellbeing mentor. There's 2 to 3 webinars every month. There's webinars around business. You know, if you want to really set up as a facilitator or coach, you know, wording for websites, how do I do it? How do I get visible? How do I talk to clients? So we help from that respect. So we also help people practically talk. So towards the end of the trainings, we set up webinars for our students to talk to other people, and we kind of see how they're doing and give them feedback on their facilitation skills. And so really there's resources, there's webinars, there's retreats, there's feedback. I mean, we pretty much give all of the support that people need to not only really talk about it, but start living it within their lives, you know, having more ease of mind, regardless of what life is doing. And there's a great support network. We have like a student coordinator who phones students up every month and see how they're doing. And we really encourage students to connect with one another. And during the training and afterwards, we've got this beautiful retreats community where people can kind of keep in the conversation and access free webinars and things. Well, that was a mouthful.
So I'm kind of thinking practically now. If I'm curious, I'm looking at then a year program. I'm looking at 3 5-day retreats that I would come along to. So practically, are all of these retreats in the UK, and are they all in the same part of the country?
Yeah, they're all in Stoke-by-Nayland in Suffolk, but we also have a program in New Zealand where we run the same thing that my sister organises.
Okay. And at the retreats, are they facilitated by the same people, or is there a mixture of people that come in and talk at these retreats?
So the retreats are facilitated by myself or my partner Jenny, or with Dr. Keith Blevins, and virtually with Elder Monroe, or Dr. Dickon Bettinger, or Joe Bailey. So we have different facilitators every retreat, because there's something really nice about hearing the same thing from a different perspective. But all the people facilitating the retreats would have trained with the originator, Sydney Banks.
Cool. And then if I was on this program, I would also have webinars and mentoring calls to support me in the interim weeks. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's it. So every month there'll be a call from the student coordinator. There'll be a mentoring one-to-one, and there'll be 2 to 3 webinars. So this, as well as having access to a whole bunch of video and audio resources. So there's a lot there for people to get their teeth into.
Right. And does the program start like at a particular time of the year, or do they start throughout the year? How would that work? Is it, for example, if I'm tempted to do something now, when's the next program?
Sure. Well, the intakes are September and January. So we have 2 intakes per year, and that intake generally would stays with the same group of facilitators through the year. And there's 1 graduation per year as well. So 2 intakes and 1 graduation.
And so if I joined say for example, I was in the September training, would I mix with other groups, or does my group stay the same group?
So your group would stay on the same group, but it will also interact with other groups, because what we found really helpful is that people who have, I don't know, on like their 3rd retreat, for instance, can mix with the people on their 1st retreat. Because that difference in understanding, having lunch with these guys, going for walks with them, is really conducive, rather than people all on the same way. So we kind of do that on purpose, because we found that to get the most benefits for the newer students.
Great. And how big are the groups? What would be like a maximum size that I would be in? So
the retreats, what happens, the retreats are open to members of the public, and it's also where our facilitators train. So a general retreat would be between 18 to sort of 28 people in total, but the facilitator group may be smaller. I mean, we generally per intake have about 8 people. So we have specific times on the retreats just with the 8 people. In the evenings or the mornings, and then we all get together as a big group, often during the day, with the members of the public as well.
Great, that sounds great, cool. So people are interested to learn more, Rudi. What's the best way of getting hold of you, just to find out a bit more information?
The best thing is to go to www.innatewellbeing.co.uk or .nz if you're from Australasia or Pan-Pacific region.
Great, that's great, Rudi. Well, thanks very much for your time today. I've been speaking to Rudi Kennard from Innate Wellbeing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.